right. Welcome back, faithful, to another Tuesday episode of Fifth Down Territory presented by Stadium Rant. We're officially midway through the season or more for almost every team now. So, I hope your sorrows are not as great as they could be. All our sympathies go out to Blake today for a gut-wrenching Monday night game. Tyler's having a real bad season, but I myself am doing just fine. So today's episode, we're going to go ahead and talk. We're going to give our mid-season predictions for end-of-year awards. And then, as always, going to give our next slate, the Week 11 slate. So let's start with some news first. You guys want to do that? Some drop today.
Yeah.
So hit us with it, Blake. What happened with your team today?
That's the news drop. Ken Dorsey is out. And Joe Brady. Wouldn't you believe it? Now our team is depending on a guy named Brady.
It all comes full circle.
You can't write it. So yeah, he was our quarterbacks coach, and now he's going to be stepping up, and there's going to be like some shifting of the powers and like delegation stuff, but that's the main headline is Joe Brady's the new OC for the rest of this year at least. And McDermott's seat is officially pretty hot because he is now fired. He's gone through a special teams coordinator, a defensive coordinator, and an offensive coordinator, and like you can only do that like so many times before like it comes back. And Ken Dorsey has been one of the main issues for the team, like the past few weeks, and like the way the offense is operated or not operated. But this past loss was on McDermott. Honestly, that 12 men on the field, dude. Oh my God, I was at this Bills bar, man, and we were all crazy nervous, and kick goes up. We're all celebrating, going nuts, and then there's the flag, and then they march it closer, and we just know what's going to happen. I think everyone watching the game across the country knew, and just I was there with a bunch of my friends, and I literally just turned and walked out. I didn't even say goodbye to any of them.
There's only one lady you wanted to see, Lady Alcohol.
Oh man, no, there were some pretty girls that I was hanging out with there too, and I just was like,
sometimes
I could not be around people, but one of my New Year's resolutions this year is to be a better person following Bill's losses in like the days after. I'm serious because I don't like.
It's a very specific goal, though. It's a very specific goal. I like it.
It's one of my least favorite parts about my fandom and the sport is how much like it's great when you're winning, and you're on top of the world, but then the other side of it, when the team loses and underperforms, like it shouldn't have such an impact on your mental health. But this is where
it definitely does.
It definitely does. I lost every single fantasy team and every single wager I made this week, but the Texans won, and so everything balances.
See, it's funny. Yeah. I went 4-0 in fantasy this week for what it's worth. I more or less broke even on my bets. So that's why fantasy sports was actually created. It was started with baseball, but I think the guys are like Indians fans or something, and they were like really bad for a long time. And it was something fantasy was meant to be something to distract them from how bad their team was, so they could still be interested in sports. And that's exactly how it works. When your team's bad, you're all in on fantasy, and when your team's riding high, who cares about your fantasy? That's secondary.
Yep. Yeah. So that happened, and then the Giants news today is that basically there's rumors going around that Dabble doesn't feel like he has full control of the team. Did you guys see those today?
Yeah, apparently there's an unspoken agreement between Dable and Shane, like that they can pretty much come back to Buffalo. So I mean, for McDermott, it's pretty much like he's got to make it to the playoffs. If he doesn't make it to the playoffs, I don't know if he's going to keep his job. And that's looking like an uphill battle right now. They've really got with the way their schedule looks. But Dable could be coming back to Buffalo as McDermott's successor.
Yeah, I feel like that's maybe some of the best news that Buffalo fans could hope for. I saw this crazy take today where like people are pegging Bobby Slowick as like a head coaching candidate for this coming year based on some of his offensive performances. And there was this guy who shall remain nameless because we don't dox people in this show, but he was putting out this take where he said, if people start interviewing Bobby Slowick, you fire D'Amico as your head coach so you can hire Bobby and keep him in-house. And I was like, that is the craziest take I've ever heard in my life.
That doesn't usually happen with like you keeping a coordinator and then leaving you. The only time that's ever happened before was with the Bucks with Dirk Cutter was their offensive coordinator, and that didn't really work out. And that was something that a lot of Bills fans have been talking about. The last year and a half now with Dable, having the wild success his first year there, and the regression we've seen from Josh Allen since he's left.
Yeah, it's always a good idea until it's not. And what I mean by that is like everybody loves to point to one instance, and the one they point to is Shanahan is always the thing. Like, oh, well, they let him go to the Niners, and they kept, I think it was Quinn at the time, right? They kept Dan Quinn, and they're like, look at the regression that happened here. And I'm like, also look at all the offensive coordinators that go out that don't work out,
Mm-hmm.
And it's more than just performance. It's about culture. It's about mutual respect. It's also about tone setting. Like you can't fire a successful coach because of a staff member that he brought in that is also good at his job. Like,
I don't think Slowick has enough on his resume, really. Like, he's doing great things this year, but I think he needs at least another year of proving himself as that type of mind. Because you come in and you have a great offense year one, it's because other people haven't seen what you're running, the way you're running it, the way you're calling it. So you have to see how that comes the next season when people have tape on what your tendencies are, and like when people understand a little bit about what the scheme that you're running is and stuff like that. So like I think Slowick is he's doing great things in Houston. I mean, CJ Stroud looks amazing, but I think people should tone it down just a little bit on him. And the Ken Dorsey thing, I mean, we said it on this program, I've said it before, I think Ken Dorsey was a massive problem for Buffalo. Josh Allen needs a drill sergeant type of coordinator to sit there and be like, you should play like Tom Brady 70% of the time. Take the checkdowns, take what's in front of you, play within the offense. When the stuff breaks down, that 30% of the time, that's when you get to be Josh Allen. That's when you get to be the unstoppable force.
Because it's a tough one. Continue.
Well, if you play like that for a full game, that whole offense is risk and reward. You're risking a lot, you're getting rewarded a lot. And there's no real margin for error there when you're doing stuff like that. And Josh Allen, let's be fair, he makes mistakes. He makes mistakes. This is something that happens. And he makes mistakes, though, because he's aggressive on the field. He needs somebody to rein him in, make him take the checkdowns, the underneath stuff, and the things that are there in front of him, and let him only throw the deep ball, run the ball, or when the play breaks down to create. He shouldn't be coming out of the play, snapping the ball, looking to create right away. That's not a good offense.
Yeah. And also we talked about the concerns around Gabe Davis as a wide receiver too, and the fact that they didn't bring in
he's not a wide receiver too.
Or they didn't bring in these guys, and now Diggs is getting schemed against and is unhappy that he's not getting the ball more, or all of these things. And then where does that leave you? Like, this offense is literally crumbling before our eyes. And James Cook fumbles and then gets benched for an entire half. And it's like, okay, yeah, except Josh Allen throws a pick a game and never gets benched. Like, that consistency, like you can't just punish people for making mistakes when your captain makes a mistake every single day.
There's a couple different levels to different things you said. I mean, I'm going to start with what Lamb said, so I don't forget, about the Ken Dorsey thing and about reeling Josh in and the recklessness. He does need to be reeled in to a degree, but not to the point that you like take away his identity, because Josh is at his best when he's running, and you are correct about trying to reel him in there, but I think another part of the Ken Dorsey thing was he was really trying to force the shot. We really wanted to try to force shotgun and 12 personnel this year was like really like one of our points of emphasis. And I think McDermott ideally wants to have a slower moving offense that because he's all about complementary football, about complementing the defense. So an offense is going to chew up a lot of clock and score, but not like super fast. However, that's just not like kind of what Josh and our offense is built for. It's better when it's kind of like high flying, but then that doesn't complement the defense. In terms of complementary football, Dorsey was running. It was forcing a lot of shotgun, as I was saying. When the Bills ran under center, like they were so much more efficient. Like they were averaging like I want to say like 14 yards per carry, like something stupid. And it's like 6 yards per carry, I think, from shotgun. And like the yards per pass, and because it opens up the run more, which opens up the play action more, and I don't know, it's just in setting yourself up for success on later downs. When you're more efficient on the first 2 downs, then sometimes you don't even have to deal with third down. So that's about the Dorsey stuff, and hopefully Joe Brady can get back to more professional style football under center, running play action. And then moving on to what Louie said about Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis. I'll try and keep it short. Gabe Davis is not a number 2. We've learned that. Khalil Shakir has got to be our number 2 going forward. I've liked what I've seen out of Khalil Shakir lately, and we still got to keep feeding Kincaid. Knox will be back soon. But yeah, it's really unfortunate about and taking in. I agree about benching James Cook. That's the worst thing you can do for a running back when they fumble like that is to bench him like that. And then as soon as James Cook got back in the game, he started making a difference. So I agree about that. That's a combination of the OC and the head coach. But anyways, we can move on to the next thing.
One last thing. That fumble was the one when he was on shotgun coming across his body. That's almost as much on Allen as it is on
that one.
That was the second one.
That was the second.
There was one first play of scrimmage, I think, or first.
He got tripped. Yeah.
So anyway, we're gonna right here's another thing I want to do. We're gonna talk about this, but keep an eye out on the Stadium Rant channel, and maybe we'll have Blake do an in-depth breakdown, a little short that we'll post on the channel about what's wrong, how he would fix the Bills. He's got tons of knowledge on this stuff. You heard it. So we're going to have him give you a little 5-minute clip. I'm going to try and persuade him to do that later. So keep an eye on the channel.
I don't know anything about this Bills team. I can pick every team but this Bills team.
But we're going to move on, and we're going to do our mid-season awards. So if the season ended today, the awards that you would hand out. And so for time's sake, we're just going to do this all in a clump. And so I'll help you guys keep track, but I'm going to do mine first. So my offensive player of the year would be Keenan Allen, which is, I think, a little bit crazy, but I think the situation is a little worse for the Chargers, especially with that head coach compared to Tyreek. I think that race is really close. CMC's in there too, but I just think the resurgence of Keenan Allen is just kind of something to witness. He's having a great year. And so my bit of a dark horse vote there for offensive player is Keenan. Defensive player of the year, I think, is Myles Garrett this year. He's an alien, a wizard. My man is unreal. Certified sicko. Offensive rookie of the year, CJ Stroud. We are all going to have the same answer on that, or I'll throw it.
Yeah, that's sweet.
My defensive rookie of the year is actually currently Devin Witherspoon, because I think corner is a harder position to play, and I think the Eagles line, just like the mentorship and the other good players, really helps Jalen Carter. But to me, that's a coin flip. It's just it's positional preference on that, but I'm going to go Witherspoon. And then for coach of the year, I actually think I'm going to give it to Mike McDaniel. I don't think he's going to get it, but that's who I would give it to. I think if you can orchestrate an offense that is just score at will in certain situations like he's been able to do this year, dropping 70 on a team is absolutely ridiculous, and I think he deserves it. And my MVP, if I'm being honest, is CJ Stroud, and I think you can make a legitimate argument for it. My unbiased MVP would probably be Lamar Jackson. Aside from that down performance against the Browns, I think he has been truly the most valuable player for any team this year. So
I like all of that. I'll go back from MVP to Offensive Player of the Year. My MVP is going to be Jalen Hurts. I just don't. If he went down and Marcus Mariota had to come in and step in for that team, there would be just such a massive drop off because of everything that Hurts does to that team. I know he has great weapons, great line, great team around him, but he's the one that elevates that team when they need him to. He runs the ball. He hasn't made a bunch of mistakes. I think Lamar is a really good pick, but he has a big fumbling issue right now. And he's had a couple of games where he hasn't really shown up, and I think that their defense has really been kind of helpful for them. So, yeah, I would take Hurts. Coach of the Year, I'm saying Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin's never won Coach of the Year, and the Steelers have been outgained in all 9 of their football games. Outgained on yardage, and they're still 6-3. They have Kenny Pickett playing quarterback, which is basically like Mac Jones, and they're 6-3. So give this man his credit. He needs one Coach of the Year nod, and I think that this would be a deep dude. Can you chill out? This would be the year to give it to him for me. Then Defensive Rookie of the Year, I'm actually going to go with Byron Young. He is the edge rusher for the Los Angeles Rams, and his metrics are on par with Jalen Carter's. Like pretty much all of them. His sack rate, his pressure rate, number of sacks for a rookie, and tackles for a loss, I believe. They're all like right, maybe like 1 or 2 spots behind him in the rookie rankings. So like he's been very, very good. Everybody's been talking about Carter. Nobody's talking about Young. Give him a little bit of credit there. Offensive Rookie of the Year, CJ Stroud, obviously, dude's a certified sicko, straight baller. Anybody who said Bryce Young was going to be a better quarterback, they can catch these hands, because you're never going to convince me of that. It's too soon. He doesn't have enough around. It's not too soon for Stroud. They arguably have similar weapon sets. New coaching is everything is pretty much the same, and the Panthers have won 1 game. So that's that. Offensive Rookie of the Year, CJ Stroud. Defensive Player of the Year, I'm going to go with TJ Watt. Again, the dude doesn't have an offense, and he single-handedly wins games, gets picks, sacks, just completely destroys an offensive game plan. TJ Watt. Then Offensive Player of the Year, I do have to go Tyreek Hill. I mean, the dude might break 2,000 yards this year receiving, and not many players get to do that. He's also just the scariest player to game plan for in the league. Like, you can't match that speed, and he's not just the speed guy. He's actually contested catch, really, really good route runner, really good at everything, pretty much. So, yeah, Tyreek Hill for me there. Bahookie, you want to hit?
Man, I was just really listening to what you guys were saying. You guys had a few really good picks. I think the Mike Tomlin pick from Lamb and the Devin Witherspoon pick from Louie were my two personal favorites. This is tough, man, because there's so many like different ways you can go on most of them. I think the Defensive Rookie of the Year one is one of the tougher ones. I'm gonna get that one out of the way and say Jalen Carter first.
I do feel like that's a 3-headed race right now. Like, there's some really good defensive rookies this year.
Yeah, and it's in this, and specifically for Rookie of the Year, the back half of the year is going to matter a lot, because a lot of these guys are going to be continuing to come on and going up. So it's still early to tell on a lot of these, and these are fluid lists. Offensive Rookie of the Year. I don't know how you could pick against CJ Stroud. Like what? That's going to be like a unanimous. MVP. Is it possible for someone that's not a quarterback to win that award?
I would say not any longer.
Not in today's NFL now.
Yeah, CMC and Tyreek are both good enough to, but I just don't think they're going to.
If Derrick Henry didn't win it in his 2K season, I don't think you can ever make the case for a running back again.
Cooper Kupp won the Triple Crown and didn't get it.
Yeah, there's been so many great offensive performances that just don't get it. So
yeah, so it's not going to be one of those two guys, and one of those two guys is going to be Offensive Player of the Year. It's going to depend if Tyreek breaks the record. If Tyreek breaks the record, he gets the Offensive Player of the Year. I'm going to say that it's going to be difficult for the Dolphins to maintain the pace that they have had getting into the later months of the season. So I'm not saying Tyreek's going to fall off or anything. I just don't know. I don't know if he's going to break the record and if he's going to continue at this pace. So I'm going to say CMC for Offensive Player of the Year. And TJ Watt and Myles Garrett were both really good choices. I love Fred Warner as my favorite defensive player in the NFL, but the Dre Greenlaw injury honestly affected his play, and so I would give the edge to one of those edge guys. I'd probably go TJ Watt just because I really love TJ Watt, and I just love his demeanor, and he's he's like this quiet, strong guy, but he's actually a huge goofball too. And he's a funny dude. I'm going TJ Watt there. MVP. I like Lamar Jackson so far. And the thing is, I don't know if he's going to maintain, because this is what happens to the Ravens every single year. Is they start so good and it blows everyone's mind, and then they kind of regress to the mean as the season goes on. This Ravens team could be different because the receiving core and yada yada. But as of right now, I think Lamar Jackson has been the most valuable, most impressive quarterback. Coach of the Year. I like McDaniel. I like Sirianni. I like Peterson. And you know who I'm going to go with? I'm going to go with Mr. Kneecap Biter.
Dan
Yes, dude.
That's a good pick.
Because I think they're going to get the number 1 seed.
Yeah. There's 2 strong candidates for anti-coach of the year, and that would be Arthur Smith for
I think that's the one right there.
In Atlanta.
I hate that, dude.
I would also say Robert Saleh, for refusing to try anything else than Zach Wilson, is making a strong case for that as well. And his post pressers where he's like, he played pretty good today.
I think that's
2 yards and 2 interceptions. That's not good.
I think that's Joe Douglas
for your guy, and he's lying when he has to, and I don't know, Arthur. I think it's still Arthur Smith.
It's Arthur Smith, but it's close. It's closer. All right.
He had a worm on his upper lip.
Did I cover all of the awards?
Yeah, I think you got them all.
All right.
And so now we're going to get into our Week 11 picks, talk games a little bit. And so for those of you listening and now watching, Blake still reigns supreme. Bahookie, he's 97-53 on the year. I made up a little bit of ground this week, 89-61. And then Lamb and Shane are tied just right behind, 84-66. Lamb really came back on that one. So be watching. He might have the hot hand for your picks this week. So we start off Thursday night with an absolute banger of a game.
One of the best
finally games in prime time. Bengals Ravens.
They had to get us back after last week.
And so this is a hard game because both of these teams are coming off really close losses, almost impossibly close losses, getting kicked on as time expired for the walk-off. Division rivals. These teams hate each other. So, Bahookie, why don't you start us off? Who are you taking in this Battle of the North?
I'm going to take the Bengals here, more or less for what I alluded to, like kind of with how I feel about Lamar, and I hope that what I see is different, but because I'm not talking about the Bills, I'm able to be objective, and and Lamar is always just like I said, he always does this every single year, and like there's been a couple years when the one year they didn't even make the playoffs, he was the midseason MVP favorite, and he usually struggles in the fourth quarter of close games in the red zone. He's known for throwing interceptions. I'm a beneficiary, of a playoff win in that exact fashion, and I expect this to be a slugfest. I think that and this is going to be one of those games that what I expected the Bills Bengals game to be. I think this Ravens Bengals game will be. It's going to be one of those who has the ball last, and I like Joe Burrow's composure and poise, specifically in like the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter and overtime, better than I do for Lamar.
Yeah, give me the Bengals as well here. I just Joe Burrow has, I'm pretty sure he has 11 touchdowns, 4 interceptions for 98 quarterback rating. And when he plays in 6 games against the Bengals, so he really lights this team up, and it's a different thing from him playing the Browns. There's a bad record against the Browns, but he plays the Ravens really well. And I think that the Bengals are a better bounce back team than the Ravens are right now. They had a little bit of luck earlier in the year, so give me Joe Burrow on the Bengals.
Yeah, so Shane also took the Bengals in this matchup because more desperation rides for them on this win than it does for the Ravens. So I'm going to pick against the grain here. I'm picking the Ravens solely because Devin Singletary just put up a 150-yard performance on the Bengals, and Keaton Mitchell has looked like an absolute steal. So I'm really expecting the ground game to carry this matchup a little bit. So I'm going to take the Ravens in a bit of a ground and pound, and I think it's going to be a nail biter to the end. But I trust like the Bengals, from what I saw on Sunday, they're either all the way down the field or they're 3 and out. I trust the Ravens to be a little more consistent on offense and be able to control the close of the game. And the Bengals are going to kind of come down to this desperation drive that just falls a little bit short. So,
okay.
Yeah,
it's going to be a great Thursday night game. It's going to be a great Thursday night game.
I'm looking forward to this one a lot. I've hardly watched any Thursday night football this year. Like, it's on in the background while I do something else, but I will be clearing my schedule for this one. Next, we got Steelers Browns on the noon slate. I'm going to go ahead and kick us off here. I'm going to take the Browns. I think Deshaun Watson actually looked pretty good in the second half of this game on Sunday against the Ravens. I think this Browns defense is just playing at an elite level, and Kenny Pickett is not. That's just the fact. Like, the run game is not, the passing game is not. So, yeah, I'm expecting clamps on Sunday, and I would not be surprised if the Steelers offense puts up under 200 yards in this one.
Yeah, I think we're gonna... Go ahead.
You want to go next?
Sorry, yeah. I'm taking the Browns too. So, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But,
you're good, bud.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much have to mirror everything that you just said, Louie. I hate to do that, but yeah, I have Kenny Pickett in as a super flex in one of my leagues, and the only reason he's there is because I don't have anyone better to put there, and yeah, I don't know. That's another credit to what Mike Tomlin winning Coach of the Year, because I don't know how this Steelers team is 6-3 right now. Well, you look at them and they've just really
with a win over the Browns already.
Yeah, I don't think they're getting a second one on the road.
Yeah, it's at Browns. It's in Cleveland.
I think that matters. So, but you go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Pittsburgh here to sweep this season series. I think that Pittsburgh has just as good of a defense, if not, or maybe not a full defense, but they definitely have just as good of a front seven. They might not be as good as the back end, but you were talking about ground and pound for the last game. The Steelers have quietly really gotten their run game going with Jalen Warren and Najee Harris. I think both of them had over 80 yards rushing in the last 2 weeks. They both scored last week. I know it's against the Packers, but that's really going to unlock this type of offense. And I know it's not a pretty offense. It's not a great offense, but again, the Steelers could get 14 points off of turnovers. Defensive touchdowns. It's the same type of thing for the Browns. I think this is going to be an ugly game that one of the teams win by a field goal, and I'm going to take Mike Tomlin to keep winning. So yeah, give me Pittsburgh.
I don't hate it. I don't, but and then Shane is also taking the Browns over the Steelers, although he notes that TJ Watt is his midway pick for Defensive Player of the Year. He thinks the return of rookie offensive tackle Broderick Jones is going to be an absolute nightmare matchup against Myles Garrett. So your next noon game is Raiders-Dolphins. I actually think this game will be closer than people think it will, like looking at the paper matchup if you've just kind of been following the Raiders a little bit. But
they've been playing okay since we've been getting rid of McDaniels.
Yeah. I want to hear Lamb's take first on this one. Why don't you lead us off?
McDaniels is a garbage can, and after that, I think that the Raiders have looked better. They're trying to get Josh Jacobs the ball 20, 25 times. It's not going to work against Miami in this offense. You can't score 16 points and expect to beat this offense with the type of defense that the Raiders have. I know Max Crosby is a really good player, but they just brought in Jack Jones, who the Pats released the other day. They brought him in yesterday. And if you're bringing a guy like that into your room because your room's not good enough, your room's just not good enough to handle that team. So give me the Raiders here probably by like, I don't know, 10. Give me the Dolphins here by like 10, 12, 10 to like 15 points. I just don't. This is the type of game that like Jalen Phillips and Christian Wilkins go off on this offensive line and Aiden O'Connell. So yeah. Boog, you want to go next?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much right there with you guys again. I got Dolphins here. I don't think they're gonna make it easy for the Bills, but maybe they will. I don't know. It's funny division, the AFC East right now, but yeah, I feel like the Dolphins are the team that like I trust more right now, and that's why I'll say right now definitively that the Dolphins are the better team than the Bills, because in spite of the way the Bills beat them down, but for the most part what you're getting out of the Dolphins each week, and I think that what we have come to expect from the Dolphins week over week is going to be enough to beat the Raiders. Yeah. One last thing to touch on. You touched on Max Crosby, and yeah, that's really how you beat this Dolphins team is at the line of scrimmage. And the Raiders have a decent pass rush, but I don't think it's like that like top flight pass rush that's really going to disrupt Tua. Sorry, that's all I have to do.
No, you're good. So here's where my uncertainty lies is that the Finns stomp teams below 500 and get wrecked by teams above 500, and the Raiders are at exactly 500.
Ooh.
So
it's a tie?
Statistics can't lead me to a conclusion.
So it's going to be a tie?
Yeah, no. I'm going to take it here.
You almost got him.
Yeah, he almost got me to take it. I think I'm going to take the Finns in this one as well, but I do think
someone has to hit a tie pick this year.
It'd be crazy if we didn't have one all year. We had one in the first week last year, and then another one later.
But there's usually one or two.
Who did Shane pick for that game? Miami?
He's still sending them, but I'm going to assume he goes Miami here. He's typing right now, but I'll come back and update that if he does pick the Raiders for some reason, but I imagine this is a pretty clean sweep. This just feels like a mismatch. Aiden O'Connell against Jalen Ramsey and Bradley Chubb and these guys just doesn't feel like a good combo. So unless Josh Jacobs has like a hallmark day, this doesn't feel like a very hopeful game for the Raiders. Moving on to the Bears-Lions, easily taking the Lions here.
This should be the fastest one.
They went toe-to-toe with the Chargers, and I think that's an easy pick for most of us.
The Lions might be the best team in football right now.
They're one of the they're one of the teams I trust the most, and they have an easy path to the 1 seed. That I picked him to go to the Super Bowl, and maybe it's a little bit crazy because we haven't seen what they look like in the playoffs yet. But
the Jahmyr Gibbs breakout is finally here.
Mm-hmm.
It's finally on this day.
And David Montgomery had over 100 yards in that game too. So
off of the 75-yard run, but yeah.
He lost his red zone carries, and he said, "You know what? I'll do it myself."
Amon-Ra St. Brown also has more 100-yard games this season than any player in the league with 6. AJ Brown has 5. So
the Sun God really has been putting on performances this year, so underrated.
Yeah, very underrated. So all Lions all day here. Yeah. Sorry, Bears fans. You know what it is.
Next, we're going Titans Jaguars.
I want to hear Louie's pick here.
This is called the Battle of the Booty Cheeks in the Louie Dictionary. I am going the Jaguars here because I just don't trust Will Levis. I don't like him that much. I like him as a person. It
takes a lot for Louie to pick the Jags.
It does. I just don't think he's learned the discipline that's going to be necessary to play against Doug Peterson. Like, I feel like he's either going to go 3 and out or he's going to drop a long bomb and score, and you just don't want to keep giving Peterson the ball back. And I think that's what's actually going to happen here, like not sustained drives by the Titans. So I'm going to take the Jags here.
Yeah, give me Jacksonville as well. I mean, I'm still on the train.
You're on borderline fraud alert for this.
Dude, they're not a fraudulent football team. They're not. They got beat by a good football team.
Like that's really not that
bad. And one of them came against the Chiefs. One of them came against the 49ers, and the other one came against the Texans. All of which are pretty decent teams. Like I don't see a fraudulent thing there.
I think the fraudulent is not being able to put up a touchdown against the kind of teams you're going to have to play to actually, go in the league.
They had a bad day. San Fran took it to them. Trevor Lawrence did not play well. They could not handle Nick Bosa and Chase Young.
Trevor Lawrence really has not had a good year, isn't he? He has more interceptions than he has touchdowns.
This team is hard carried.
That's a real stat
right now.
I'm still taking the Jags. I'm still taking the Jags over the Titans, in spite of this shit talk, but also moderate respect to the Jags.
They got punched in the mouth. I think people are discounting them a little.
The Niners do that to good teams. Yeah,
they did that to the Cowboys a couple weeks ago. Like I don't hear it. I mean, I don't like Dallas's coach, but I don't hear any fraudulent calls for Dallas. Like it's just, they had a bad game. I think they're gonna roll here against Tennessee. We might not see a classic Trevor Lawrence game, but
here.
So I'm gonna read you a list of the teams that the Jaguars have beat so far, just so we can talk about this record real quick, because I'm on full hate mode. Okay,
we know that.
Yeah, if you want to go back to last year, they've only lost 3 games. They've lost 6 games total in a calendar year, and 3 of them came against the Chiefs. So
they beat the Colts twice. One was Anthony Richardson's season debut. The other was Gardner Minshew. They beat the Falcons. They beat the Bills, which I'll give them that win. And then they beat the Saints and the Steelers. Like, I don't know that we're looking at.
Those are decent wins. Those last 3 you said are decent wins.
No, nobody else is like only 3 teams have beaten the Steelers.
So when I talk about like the Texans' performance, like I didn't look at this Steelers win as like a statement win. Like
I didn't say it was a statement win. I just think that they're a very consistent team, and
it's a legitimate AFC win.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we have different opinions. I think the Jaguars will be one and done in the playoffs this year. I think they get bounced first round, because Trevor Lawrence just does not have that gene in him. I'm a hater.
It took a historic collapse for them to make it out of the first round. I mean, if it wasn't for the Chargers collapsing the way they did, they wouldn't.
Charging.
Yeah, the Jags wouldn't be looked at the same way. And then the Jags played the Chiefs very well in the playoffs last year. That was when I feel like they earned even more respect in that loss.
Yeah. All right, moving on.
Yeah, moving on.
Hating. Next, we have the Chargers-Packers game. Give me the Chargers here. I'm not buying into this Packer team. Like, I don't know what it is. It doesn't look like sound football when I watch it. There's not a lot of faith in Jordan Love's processing, and I'm not in on this. They were sellers at the deadline. Like, give me the Chargers here.
I don't want to take the Chargers, but I feel like I have to take the Chargers here. I don't like the Packers can't seem to score more than 20 points.
Yeah.
And
that's it. What you just said right there is
it's an amazing offense.
Yeah.
Give me the Chargers, but like Brandon Staley is going to make 3 different moves in this game that might lose him the football game.
That's also accurate.
And we got to talk about Christian Watson's regression. Like, his addition to this team, like coming back, somehow made this offense worse. And I cannot for the life of me fathom why.
Doesn't make any sense.
Get Jaden Reed involved more.
Yeah. Jaden Reed, MSU, dog.
Yeah.
He's a dog.
They have good pieces. It's just they're young offense. And I like their team coming off of a franchise quarterback who'd been there for 12 years. Everybody wanted to anoint Love after a couple of weeks, and it's not that easy to just come in and become a franchise quarterback. Like it does take some getting used to. But I agree that they have not produced as I wanted them to. I had Christian Watson as a top 13 fantasy wide receiver this year. Poop on my face for that.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Right on the forehead.
A couple of weeks ago, the Chargers played against the Jets, and it was pretty much the exact same thing. Like, I just feel comfortable that the Chargers are going to score more points than the Packers this week. And and unless the Chargers really charger it, which isn't impossible. but I'm going to take the Chargers this week.
Yeah, I think it's an easy
what
pick.
Shane got?
He still has not sent through his picks yet, so he's sitting there typing. I think he got distracted at work, so how dare he have a job?
We're gonna go ahead and say that he picks the Chargers.
We'll tweet out Shane's official picks on the Stadium Rant Twitter, so if you're invested, make sure you're following. We'll get him out there. He'll have them up before the week. I was accused after the Thursday night game, which I sent my picks late, that I shifted. All right, next, Cardinals-Texans. You already know I'm not picking against my boys again. Until they disappoint me, I'm Texans every week now. After the Bengals game,
feels like the perfect trap game. Kyler's back.
Every game they've lost has been against young mobile quarterbacks so far, I think. Depending, I guess, on how you classify Desmond Ridder. But
I classify him as he looks like he's 35. Anybody see that dude with his helmet on?
His hairline is he's got a hat wearer's hairline. We'll say that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna take the Texans. They had a fantastic game last week. I'm also gonna take the Texans, but I think this is a game that is actually gonna be fun to watch. Which at the beginning of the season, nobody thought it was gonna be really all that fun to watch. I think this is gonna be a really, really good football game.
I think it'll be another offensive game.
Yeah. I hope Trey McBride gets another 135 yards.
We're bad against tight ends, to be honest, so there's a chance.
But yeah, so you give me the Texans here. It's really difficult for me to be. I was on the Texans for a while there, and then they lost the Panthers, and I got off of them, and now I'm fully back on board with this team. Bahookie, what do you think?
Louie, I don't know if you remember my hot take of the year preseason for the Texans was that they're going to be one of the Cardinals' 2 wins this year.
Yep, I do. So you got to stand on it. You got to stand on it and take it.
I'm going to, and I don't feel so great about it. You guys have been playing really well at this whole year. This last few weeks, you guys are really one of the in this current moment, you're one of the top 3 to 5 teams in the AFC. The way they're playing, that can change in a week or two's time. And Kyler's back. And yeah, this does feel like the perfect trap game. Yeah.
And you know who's going to be back this week in full snaps is the one and only top 5 future cornerback, Derek Stingley.
My man needs to stay healthy.
Jalen
needs to buy a new hamstring.
Petrie got burned all last week, so he needs to. He did not do.
It's tough to play against Jamar Chase for a full game, man. Like
we rotate who has the worst game, and like 1 week it was Christian Harris, and then 1 week it was Steven Nelson, and then it was Jalen Petrie, and it's like I just need some consistency.
Petrie is pretty good too, but yeah, he did not show up this past.
He did not have a good game, but Blake Cashman for some reason is good now. So no.
I'm mostly gonna stick with this pick because I said it months ago, and a man only has 2 things in this world: his word, and I don't break them for no one. So give me the Cardinals to pull off the upset here.
Word.
All right.
The next game.
Cowboys, Panthers. Cowboys next.
Cowboys.
Yeah, this is an easy pick. I'm sorry, Bryce Young. To be honest, like
I'm not sorry. He ain't it.
In the group chat, we have this debate in the group chat. Is it too early? And I'm really getting to the point where I'm like, it's not. Like, you have to show something. My friends are texting me these stats, like, look at the win-loss of like Joe Burrow and Matt Stafford and like all these guys. But the passing yards per game, like the completion percentages, that's where that variance comes in.
Bryce Young is the same size as me. I am the same size as Bryce Young.
I am statistically almost the exact same height and weight as Brock Purdy. So,
like, I never believed in him, and I'm not going to start now. Give me the Commanders and CeeDee Lamb for another 10 for 150, please.
The Commanders and CeeDee
Lamb? I'm sorry. Give me the Cowboys and CeeDee Lamb to command this game.
I know Shane's taking the Panthers here.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So the next game we have is the Giants Commanders. Poopy game. It's the Commanders. I'm sorry, Danny DeVito. I loved you in Always Sunny, but it's not it.
Sam Howell is quietly the QB3 in fantasy right now.
He has the most passing yards on the year right now. Yep. Officially going into this week, he has the most passing yards in the league. And somehow, I feel like none of his wide receivers are really relevant in fantasy. I could explain that to you, but I just feel like
Brian Robinson Jr. is getting the 120 yards. They have a Logan Thomas game here. Curtis Samuel does his thing. Like it's a more diluted target share than I definitely thought it was going to be. What do you think, Bahookie? You think Danny DeVito gets a win here?
No.
Everybody wants another Brock Purdy story, but there is no Debo here.
No.
Best I can do is Saquon Barkley behind a paper offensive line.
Escalators, Eels.
I'm taking the Commanders here. Who pick the Giants over anybody right now?
I'll take them on the path in 2 weeks.
Couldn't even pick the Giants against the Bills. Come on.
Next, we've got Bucks Niners. I'm taking the Niners, but again, I feel like this is one of those games where I think it's going to be a little closer than people think. I don't know why.
I agree with that.
I could see Mike Evans having like a classic game where he goes for like 180 yards and 2 tuds. And Chris
that's like what his week is. That's like what he does.
Yeah.
Like,
he drops him in a touchdown, and it looks like he's got hands that were made out of like paper mache at a kindergarten class. Like they're deformed, and so he misses some open touchdown. But yeah, I think this is actually a pretty close game. But I think the discipline that this Niners team has and the CMC advantage is really going to help them out. But I will caution all of you degenerate gamblers that I don't like Rachaad White's receiving yards this week because of Fred Warner. So there's your
Fred Warner.
That man plays sideline to sideline, and he's not going to break no 40-yard runs of a little screen pass on Fred Warner. Like, that's not happening.
As long as he gets 6 or 7 targets, I'll feel okay.
Yeah, you guys know Fred Warner's only 26.
That's insane.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
I looked it up like earlier this year, like, and I was curious. And yeah, he's from a Mormon family, and he went to BYU, and he just played football, stayed out of trouble all the time.
He's like not even a year older than me. That's wild. My body would fall apart out there.
Yeah, we're the same age. What went wrong with me and my genetics to not get me out there? Come on.
Yeah, he's half. I think he's like half black, half Dominican, or half Mexican. He's like half Hispanic, half black, and but the dude never gets in any sort of trouble. He's super soft spoken, super quiet, but just
also
literally, it was literally everything you could ask for in a middle linebacker. Something that Luke Kuechly would talk about, like the really, really great middle linebackers have this ability to just kind of like sift through the defense and just the other players, and just kind of find a path to the ball that other people just can't find, like with minimal contact. And Fred Warner's got that.
Yeah,
a snake.
Great player.
All right. So Jets Bills. I'm taking the Bills, but Josh Allen's going to throw another 2 picks in this game. But the thing is, Zach Wilson is not going to be able to move the ball at all. So, I still think the Jets win the turnover margin, but I think they lose the game.
Yeah, give me the Bills here as well. The Jets offense it had so much potential, man. Zach Wilson's so bad.
If Aaron Rodgers was playing in this game, I'd take the Jets.
They haven't scored a touchdown. They haven't scored a touchdown in 39 drives.
Sounds like a perfect weekend for a Zach Wilson masterclass, huh?
Oh my gosh, I'd freak out. That'd be so funny to me.
It's probably like a Breece Hall masterclass, but I like the Bills' defensive line too much.
Yeah, so
Blake, are you taking the Jets, or are you sticking on the Bills here?
So I got that. Yeah, I was talking to my roommate, who's a Finns fan, about this earlier, and there's 3 things that I don't like about this matchup for the Bills. One is just kind of like the style of play right now that both of the teams have had. Is the Jets have thrived in these like ugly games. That's how they win. Is they get into these ugly games and they out ugly the other team and come out with a win.
That's how my ex found me too.
And that's the only brand of football the Bills know how to play right now, is ugly football. And so I'm worried about that. Is the Jets have been in these games, and like they are comfortable being uncomfortable. And then there's 2 other pieces to it. Josh Allen historically has played some of his worst games against the Jets. This defense is legit. Don't get into the swear jar. And the other piece is Zach Wilson plays his best games against the Bills for whatever reason. Oh
my goodness. You gotta take your boys. You can't swap here.
Just oh my goodness.
Even Shane.
All right, I'll pick the Bills, and I've never felt worse about it in my entire life.
Peer pressure.
Even Shane is taking the Bills here. Let's not overthink this. All right, Seahawks Rams. I'm going Seahawks, even with Matthew Stafford coming back. I just like the Rams offense. Is so unpredictable. And I just like the Seahawks pieces on defense and offense. Although DK Metcalf needs to sort something, and he needs to have a good game. Like, he needs to have a good game to stay in a wide receiver 1 conversation.
I think the Seahawks win this game. I think they get revenge for that week 1 game. If this were week 12 and Kyron Williams was back for the Rams, I'd trust the Rams a little bit more, because that offense was cooking when they were running the ball a bunch with Williams and running play action. So that's definitely hurt them. Stafford's first game back off missing a week. I'd like to see it before I pick them. So yeah, give me the Seahawks here. I love Witherspoon. I love what they can do on offense. They have a really talented offense around Geno. So yeah, give me the Seahawks.
Yeah, I'm mirroring most of your guys' points, especially the Kyron Williams factoid there. Yeah, Matt Stafford coming back is obviously big, and we don't know, if he's going to get getting right back to it. But yeah, I think that since Kyron Williams has been out, the motor of this Rams offense has been, not the same. I'm taking the Seahawks here on the road.
Word.
Yeah. Sunday night, we get the Broncos and the Vikings, and give me the Pastronaut to keep sending them to space. Let me just say, my favorite part of the NFL season is some random dude breaking out that nobody ever would have predicted, and then he gets a slick nickname that just hangs around for like 6 weeks. Pastronaut is elite. I love it. I would buy merchandise.
Yeah, he looks like an alien, but he plays pretty good quarterback. So
Man
Josh
from outer
Dobbs,
space.
it all folds right together there. But I think that he could be better for the Vikings than Kirk Cousins is. Maybe not for fantasy, but for real life. Because he adds in like the rushing dynamic. They have a good offensive line, a good offensive scheme, and great offensive players. He can divvy up the ball wherever he sees fit, and also he adds that scramble ability. I mean, he may make a mistake or two, but Kirk Cousins makes mistakes and doesn't add any scramble ability.
And we haven't seen the Chiefs yet.
Yeah, exactly. So you add in Jefferson into this equation here. This guy could be the limit for like this team's surging. Like the Vikings have won every game since Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins both went down. So yeah, give me Minnesota here against the Broncos. But I actually think this is going to be a good football game. It's going to be a tight, competitive football game. I think the Broncos have had they got so much shit for that 70-point game, and then they've really come out and played pretty decent football since like week 6. They beat the Chiefs and they beat the Bills. Those are. I know the Bills have issues right now. The Chiefs' offense isn't as good as it has been in recent years, but those are 2 quality wins for your football team. So, yeah, give me the Vikings, but it's going to be a good game, I think.
Lamb, you've done this like 3 or 4 times today, where you pretty much said exactly what I was gonna say, and yeah, I'm with you on pretty much every point you had. Where I'm taking the Vikings here, and I think that this will be a good game. The Broncos have been really good. They beat the Chiefs. They beat the Bills, even though I think the Bills mostly beat themselves. We'll find out this coming week against up and coming quality playing team, the quality Vikings team right now, what the Broncos really are, and how big of a blunder that Bills loss really was, because the Broncos had, like Lamb said, yeah, and that was something that Scott Van Pelt and some of the other people were talking about, is that's it, that 70-20 game is something that people are going to remember the rest of this entire year. People are still going to be talking about that in the off season. That'll be something that comes up. But they have pulled themselves up pretty well, and Sean Payton's seat's probably cooling down a little bit. Even though I'm sure he had, because of what they gave up for him, he's got equity for at least another year. But it's looking a little bit better in Denver. But yes, I'm taking the Vikings.
Word.
All right,
Last
and then
game on the slate.
Another slapping primetime game. Chiefs Eagles. I am gonna go with the Eagles in this matchup. I trust their offense a little more. I think both defenses are good, except for the Eagles secondary right now. But gotta trust guys like Big Play Slay when the moment's right. So I think I again think this game is close, really, really close this week. So I'm hammering whatever over I can find here.
It took 11 weeks for us to get 2 really good primetime games on Monday and Thursday. 11 weeks in the NFL season.
Sign my petition to get the Texans flexed into prime time.
I will. But I think schedule makers have a really difficult job putting this all together in the offseason because you never know what's going to happen injury-wise. But do a better job, guys. Like, come on. We've had some of these matchups where it's like,
how did we get so many Broncos games again? Did we not learn from last year?
No, they switched the Broncos out with the Jets. They switched the Broncos out with the Jets. We still get
so many Broncos. We got Broncos on Thursday, and then we get Sunday night. Back-to-back weeks.
Yeah. I don't know, man. They were thinking Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers are going to be very prevalent this season, and it hasn't gone the way they wanted to. Next, give me Philly here. I have an issue with Kansas City, man. Their offense came out swinging in the first part of that Germany game, but they really only scored 24 points. Like, one of them was off a scoop and score as well. That offense isn't right. They're missing an elite wide receiver. Travis Kelce can rack up 10 for 150 and a touchdown. That still only gets you one touchdown. The Eagles can hit you from anywhere on the football field, pretty much any position. They lost Dallas Goedert. That's going to hurt them a little bit, but I really just think his targets kind of swell out to A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. DeAndre Swift has looked really good all season as their running back. I think that was a great move for them. And yeah, Jalen Hurts is my MVP pick right now, so he's going to come up and show an MVP performance. They're going to win like 30-21.
Yeah, those are good predictions. I like what you guys are saying. I'm going to go the other way, and I'm going to take the Chiefs. And just thinking about like some of the individual matchups in this game, there's really some tantalizing ones. For me, the best one's got to be Chris Jones versus Jason Kelce, and right up there in the middle. That's just like that's the get your popcorn ready matchup right there. And I don't think the Chiefs are gonna do anyone in the AFC any favors. I think the Ravens are gonna lose to the Bengals, and the Chiefs are gonna get this like. And you beat the Eagles, doesn't matter how you beat them or like what it looks like. That's a premier win if you beat the Eagles. There's no winning ugly or whatever. And I think that's what the Chiefs are gonna do right here, and people are gonna go, oh yeah, it's still the Chiefs. And I don't know. I feel like the Eagles are, they only have that one loss to the Jets. I feel like they're ripe for an upset, right? And they don't, they outside of the Super Bowl, they don't play the Chiefs too often. And I think this is going to be a close, low-scoring game. I think if the Eagles are able to score over 30 points, then they win the game. I don't think that they're going to be able to. I think that the Chiefs will win this game like 26-22. Something like that.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. I mean, these are two of the best teams in the NFL going against each other. Yeah. So anything can happen.
Yeah. So that is your Week 11 preview. If you want to see Shane's picks, make sure to follow Stadium Rant. We're going to get them up there tonight. And then, shout out, tag the NFL, tell them you want to flex Texans Browns into a primetime game on Christmas Eve because that's what the people deserve.
Yeah, it definitely shouldn't be Patriots Broncos. Nobody wants to watch that game.
As always, guys, thanks for joining us tonight. We couldn't do this without you. Fifth Down Territory is going to be back again. Are we doing next week, Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, right. We'll be back. Yeah. We've got nothing else to do. I don't have work the next day. Tuesday night. Might go a little crazy. Might go a little long. Who knows?
All right. I like where this is going.
But make sure and check out stadiumrant.com. They sponsor this show. Check out their articles. Sign up for their newsletter. Follow them on Twitter. We got a ton of great guys pumping out content and takes that you're not going to get anywhere else. So thanks for tuning in. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Peace out.